The mist clung thickly to the slopes of Mount Mulonge, swirling around the towering peaks like ancient spirits watching over their domain. Nestled at the base of the mountain, the village of Lekobula had lived in peace for centuries, with the imposing massif looming in the background, a silent guardian. To outsiders, Mount Mulonge was just another of Africa's natural wonders, revered by hikers and nature lovers alike. But to the people of Lekobula, it was much more, a sacred place, filled with untold mysteries and a history whispered from generation to generation. Tendai, a curious 16-year-old boy, had heard these stories his entire life. His grandmother, Nkota, was the village elder and the storyteller. She often sat beneath the old baobab tree, regaling children with tales of Mulonge spirits, ancient warriors, and magical creatures that once roamed its slopes. But for Tendai, these stories felt more like bedtime tales than reality until the day everything changed. It was a cold, windy evening when the strange event occurred. The village had gathered for a harvest celebration, feasting on saima and roasted meat, laughing and dancing as the full moon hung low in the sky. Suddenly, the wind picked up, howling down the mountain with an intensity that silenced the crowd. The air grew heavy, and the fire in the center of the village flickered out, plunging everything into darkness. Tendai's heart raced as he looked up at the mountain. For a split second, he thought he saw a glowing light at the peak, something unnatural, something calling to him. "Grandmother!" Tendai ran to Nkota, who stood frozen, her eyes wide with recognition. "What's happening?" "It has begun," she whispered, her voice trembling. "The mountain is waking. The guardians are needed again." The next morning, the village was abuzz with fear and confusion. People whispered of bad omens, strange dreams, and sightings of shadowy figures moving through the forest at night. Tendai could feel the unease in the air, but he couldn't stop thinking about the light he had seen atop Mount Mulonge. His curiosity burned stronger than his fear. Nkota summoned Tendai to her hut that afternoon. The old woman sat cross-legged on the floor, her wrinkled hands tracing the patterns on an ancient cloth that she only brought out on rare occasions. Tendai sat opposite her, his mind swirling with questions. "My grandson," Nkota began, "the stories I've told you over the years, they are not just legends. They are warnings. Mount Mulonge has always been a protector of this land, but it is also a gateway. Deep within its heart lies an ancient power, one that must never be disturbed." "What kind of power?" Tendai asked, leaning forward. "The mountain is alive," Nkota said softly. "It holds the spirit of the ancestors, the guardians who once protected this realm from forces beyond our understanding. Long ago, a terrible entity, Kerambo, the beast of shadows, was sealed within the mountain. The guardians, chosen by the spirits of Mulonge, kept watch to ensure the seal remained unbroken. But now, something stirs. The seal is weakening." Tendai's eyes widened. "What does that have to do with me?" Nkota placed her hand on his. "The spirits have chosen again. The mountain called out last night, and you heard it. You, Tendai, are one of the new guardians of Mount Mulonge." The weight of her words pressed down on him, disbelief and excitement battling within his mind. "But I'm just a boy. How can I stop this Kerambo?" "You won't do it alone," Nkota replied, her eyes twinkling. "There are others, and they too will feel the call. The time has come for you to find them." Before I continue, thank you for watching our story to this point. Please don't just watch and leave. Support us by commenting your thoughts, liking and subscribing to our channel for more interesting stories. Okay, let's continue. Tendai's life changed overnight. With Nkota's guidance, he began to understand the history of the guardians, their connection to the spirits, and the sacred responsibility that had now fallen upon him. But he couldn't do it alone. Nkota gave him a map, an old, weathered parchment that revealed secret paths leading into the heart of Mount Mulonge, paths known only to the guardians. You must find the others, Nkata told him. Follow the signs. The spirits will guide you. With nothing but a small satchel, the map, and his courage, Tendai set off on his journey. The path was arduous, and as he climbed higher, the air grew thinner, the vegetation more sparse. The once familiar mountain now felt foreign, alive with unseen forces. Strange symbols began to appear on the rocks, glowing markings that seemed to pulse with energy. It was on the third day that Tendai encountered his first companion. In a clearing near a waterfall, he stumbled upon a girl around his age, her skin dark and her hair wild, braided into intricate patterns. She was crouched by the water, her hands moving in deliberate, graceful motions over the surface. As Tendai approached, he realized she wasn't just playing with the water, she was controlling it. The girl looked up sharply, her eyes narrowing. "Who are you?" "I'm Tendai," he replied, awestruck by what he had just witnessed. "Are you a guardian?" The girl stood up, her eyes still suspicious but less guarded. "My name is Zoya. I thought I was the only one." Tendai showed her the map, explaining Kata's prophecy and the need to find the others. Zoya hesitated at first, but after a night of camping by the waterfall and sharing their experiences, she agreed to join him. Together, they pressed on, the bond between them strengthening with every step. Days passed, and the mountain revealed more of its secrets. In the dense forest of Mulonj, they encountered Baiko, a tall, strong boy who could communicate with animals and seemed to understand the rhythms of the mountain like no one else. Baiko, too, had heard the call, guided by dreams and strange visions. Finally, in a hidden cave near the summit, they found Amina, the last of the guardians. Amina was different, quiet and intense, her connection to the mountain deep and mysterious. She could sense things before they happened, her dreams often filled with cryptic warnings from the ancestors. The four of them, each with their unique abilities, stood before the entrance to the heart of Mulonj, a sacred chamber said to house the spirit of the mountain itself. As they entered, the air grew colder, the weight of their destiny pressing down on them. Inside the heart of Mulonj, the guardians found the ancient seal, a massive stone slab covered in glowing runes, pulsing weakly. Beyond it, they could feel the presence of Karambo, the beast of shadows, stirring, hungry for freedom. The air was thick with dread, and even Tendai, with all the courage he had gathered, felt the creeping fear of what lay ahead. "We need to strengthen the seal," Zoya whispered, her hands trembling as she tried to channel her power. But it wasn't enough. Suddenly, the ground shook, and a dark, swirling energy began to rise from the cracks in the floor. Karambo's deep, guttural growl echoed through the chamber, and the shadows seemed to come alive, twisting and clawing toward them. "We can't do this alone," Baiko shouted, stepping forward as he summoned the strength of the animals that had always been his companions. Birds swooped in from above, animals from the forest charged into the cave, but even they were no match for the growing darkness. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, Amina stepped forward. Her eyes closed, and she whispered ancient words, words that had been passed down through generations of guardians. As her voice grew louder, the spirits of the ancestors appeared, glowing figures who once protected the mountain. They surrounded the seal, adding their power to Amina's, holding the darkness at bay. Tendai, Zoya, and Baiko joined hands, focusing their abilities on the seal. The mountain roared, and for a moment, everything was chaos. The wind howled, the shadows screamed, and the ground trembled. But the combined power of the guardians and the ancestors was enough. With a blinding flash of light, the seal was restored. The dark energy dissipated, and Karambo's growl faded into nothingness. The mountain was silent once more. Exhausted but triumphant, the four guardians emerged from the cave, the morning sun casting a golden glow over Mount Mulonj. They had done it. They had restored the balance, sealed away the darkness, and answered the call of the ancestors. but their journey was far from over. As they descended the mountain, Tendai knew that they had been chosen not just for this battle, but for a lifetime of protecting the mountain and its people. Mount Molonge was alive, and it would always need its guardians. As the village of Lekobula came into view, Tendai smiled. He had left as a boy, but now, he was a guardian, one of the protectors of a sacred legacy, bound to the mountain forever. And as long as the guardians of Mount Molonge stood watch, the shadows would never rise again. Thank you for watching our story. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.